Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to be looking at the McFarlane DC Multiverse The Suicide Squad Unmasked Bloodsport. Now, Bloodsport is from the upcoming Suicide Squad film, and there's been a standard release of the masked version. This is a Walmart exclusive, the unmasked version. It does seem like Idris Elba in the film has his mask off most of the time, so this version might be a little more appropriate, although I really do like the look of the masked version. This guy still comes with the Build-A-Figure King Shark pieces, so it looks like I'm going to have some extra pieces at this point. So let's take a look at the packaging. As you can see at the top, 22 moving parts, McFarlane Toys, got the Spawn logo there, ages 12 plus, DC Multiverse Bloodsport Unmasked. Collect to build King Shark. This is the second of 4 figures. One side of the package says Bloodsport Unmasked from the Suicide Squad. Other side simply says Bloodsport Unmasked. At the bottom, there's a bunch of credits, and there is a barcode in case that helps anybody. And on the back side here, here's Bloodsport Unmasked. Here's instructions on how to build King Shark, all the different pieces, and here is the rest of the wave. So with no further ado, let's open them up. And I did get 2 of these figures, one of which to open an is, and one to open, remove the head, and put onto a civilian body, so I can have Bloodsport in his civilian attire. Alright, now that we got this figure out of the package, here he is with all his accessories laid out. He does come with a display stand, a collector's card, 2 swords, and then the torso of King Shark. But before we take a look at the accessories, let's talk about and check out the actual figure. So this is Bloodsport, played by Idris Elba. His real name is Robert Dubois. This is the unmasked version, and it's a Walmart exclusive. So let's take a look at him. I'll tell you, the likeness is a little bit soft there, kind of weak. I mean, don't get me wrong, with the outfit I can definitely tell who it's supposed to be. It's got the hair sort of gray peppered in there. Looks okay, the line doesn't look that good. The hair itself looks a little weird. The overall face, I mean, I can see the resemblance, but it doesn't really look that much like Idris Elba. I kind of feel like it's a fail. I mean, I can tell it's an unmasked Bloodsport just because of the outfit, but the likeness is kind of soft. The Cena one wasn't that good either on Peacemaker. Anyway, the Bloodsport figure was fantastic, and this guy shares the exact same body. The armor looks great, got the orange, got the dark blue. In the film, the suit was a lot more weathered and worn. It was sort of copper, dirty looking. This looks like he just made the suit. It's first time wearing it. Looks pretty good, a lot of detail. Looks like double jointed elbows, double jointed knees, got nice boots on. Looks like his articulation is hidden under this soft goods overlay here. And then, just a closer look at his face. I don't think they quite captured Idris Elba's likeness. What do you guys think? Let me know. I don't know, the nose, the sort of line, something about the face just looks off. And then here are both the unmasked Bloodsport figures with all their accessories laid out. Now let's check out his accessories, and let's start off with the boring stuff. He comes with this McFarlane display stand. Typical McFarlane stand, black perfect circle, says DC at the bottom, 1 peg for the peg hole in his feet, very thin, very basic. Now let's look at his collector's card. As you can see, it's an image of Idris Elba playing Bloodsport from the film, sort of done in black and white colors. Bloodsport Unmasked from the Suicide Squad. On the back, there is a description. If you want to read that, go ahead and pause now. And here's the Unmasked Bloodsport's collector's card on the left, next to the standard version on the right. It has more color to it. Then we have King Shark's torso. It comes in 2 pieces. When put together, it looks like this. It's got the fin on the back, some white paint on the front, mostly gray shark type skin, some gills here. And when King Shark is fully put together, he looks like this. Now let's look at his swords. And I was a little bit disappointed he came with these swords. The regular version of Bloodsport also came with the swords. When I got the Unmasked Peacemaker, I was pleased to see he had a different set of weapons versus the masked version. It would have been nice if Bloodsport had something different. Not sure what else he possibly could have come with though. Guns would make the most sense and would be very appropriate, but Warner Brothers has this no gun policy, Any officially licensed DC figure cannot come with a gun anymore. Originally, Bloodsport and Peacemaker were supposed to come with guns. You can tell because they have trigger finger hands. He did use these swords in the film, although I only remember using one and not two. Drop me a line in the comments below if I'm right or wrong about that. So let's look at the actual sword. So it's got this gold handle, nice amount of sculpting detail in there. Then it's got the blade, pretty basic. Here's Bloodsport holding the swords. Now a gun I have been using for my Bloodsport is this Neca Predator Machico rifle. I had an extra one of these. It looked kind of big, kind of the right color, kind of sci-fi-ish, just like his big gun from the film. I am pretty tempted to buy this weapons pack. There's this customizer on Instagram that's selling weapons packs for both Peacemaker and Bloodsport. It's pretty pricey, but I'm probably going to pull the trigger. No pun intended. And as you saw earlier, I did get 2 of these Unmasked Bloodsport figures. My intent was to take the head off one of them and get a Robert Dubois in civilian attire. So let's see what bodies I have to offer. So I have this DC Direct John Diggle from Arrow. I thought it might work good for Bloodsport out of the costume. John Diggle here is in civilian attire, some regular looking clothing. He's 7-inch scale. He's also a black man, which will be good in case I don't want to repaint the entire figure. So let's get their heads off. So I went ahead and brought some water to a boil, dipped the figures in there to soften the plastic, and then I popped off their heads. Went ahead and popped the Bloodsport head onto the John Diggle body. And it doesn't look too bad. Yeah, the skin tone's a little bit different. That can always be fixed with a repaint. And the head is perhaps a little bit too large for the body, but doesn't look too bad by itself. Pretty happy to have my Robert Dubois in civilian attire. And this would now be my Bloodsport collection. We have Bloodsport in full attire with the helmet on, Bloodsport completely out of the costume in civilian attire, and then Bloodsport with his costume on but his helmet off. Once I realized I was going to use this John Diggle for this purpose, I decided to replace my John Diggle so I could still have him in my action figure world. Now this is not the first time I've got an action figure with an Idris Elba head. This one here is from Diamond Select Toys from Dark Tower. I personally think this DST head is far superior to the McFarlane head. They definitely did a better job with the likeness if you ask me. Just something about the McFarlane one just looks off. And since I was left with this headless Bloodsport body, I thought, I'll go ahead and try this Idris Elba Dark Tower head on this and see how that looks. And here's the result. Here's the Dark Tower Idris Elba head on the Unmasked Bloodsport body. The head might be a little bit too small for the body, but I still think it's superior to what McFarlane gave us. And that'll put my Bloodsport collection like this. One Bloodsport with the full outfit and helmet on. Next Bloodsport Unmasked. Next Bloodsport Unmasked with a different Idris Elba head. And then we have Robert Dubois in civilian attire. And while we're on the subject of swapping heads, I took the head off the standard Bloodsport and you put it under the Unmasked Bloodsport's arm as if he's holding his helmet. And yes, I know his helmet was completely not done that way in the film, but still for a pretty cool shot. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at the figure, his accessories, and some other stuff you can do with head swaps, now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, he's sitting at about 7.3 inches tall, which is going to translate to about 18.5 centimeters. Now let's check out his articulation. Starting with his head here, of course, it can rotate from side to side. He can look up about that far, down about that far, not too bad. Can tilt his head from one side to the other, give him a good amount of personality. Shoulders on a ball joint goes out more than 90 degrees, up, down, around, all that good stuff. He does have that signature McFarlane butterfly joint between his shoulder and chest area, just increase the range of motion. Bicep cut below that. Double jointed elbows below that. His wrist here, it can rotate, and it's going to be hinged as well. Now in his torso here, he's got the soft goods overlay. He's got the double ball joint here. You can see underneath it's the same color, so it doesn't visually look too bad when you move it this way. So up here, can rotate, go forward and back. You can also do it down below, rotate around, go forward and back, giving him a very good range of motion in his torso. It does look a little odd here, but I'm okay with it. Legs, Completely does the splits, not a ball joint, but a similar type concept. Rotation pretty minimal. Legs go forward about that far, back about that much. Double jointed knees below that. Then his ankle here, he can go forward and back just a little bit, can rotate, can tilt and rock, and he's got toe articulation. Now let's check him out next to the standard release of Bloodsport. And if I had to pick just one of these two, it would definitely be the version with the helmet on. I think that helmet looks sick, it looks great. And this unmasked head, I mean, it's not awful, but it's definitely lacking, whereas the Bloodsport helmet is not. There are absolutely no differences between the two figures, except for the obvious head. I mean, which one do you guys like better? I can't imagine there's anybody that would prefer the unmasked version. I mean, I'm happy to have both, but this is a fantastic head sculpt. The armor, the body, it looks pretty good, but the only difference here is their heads. Here's Bloodsport in his little base or hideout, with his armory all around him, getting ready to go out on assignment. Bloodsport picks up his helmet, getting geared up. Now Bloodsport has his guns, his helmet on. He's ready to go out there and finish his target. Here's a Suicide Squad in a broken down building, preparing for battle. And here they are, quick to jump into action. And just a closer look at Bloodsport holding his weapon. Here's King Shark and the team of figures from the Suicide Squad. So far, McFarlane has given us these 5 figures. There has been no announcement or any tease about any further figures, but there's about 16 more characters they can make from this film. I really hope they trickle a few more out at least. Here's Peacemaker and Bloodsport facing off, just like near the end of the film. And I always wanted to see these two guys in action together. It'll probably never happen, but hopefully Bloodsport survives the movie, so there's at least a glimmer of hope that possibly he and Deadshot will make an appearance together. Here he is, next to a Mafex movie Suicide Squad Deadshot figure. This is the largest movie Suicide Squad Deadshot figure that anyone has made. He's still a little bit too short to go with the McFarlane figures, but not that far off. I did crouch Bloodsport a little bit extra for this shot. Now let's check him out next to some other action figures, starting off with some other McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here he is, next to the standard release of Bloodsport. This one has the helmet on. Then, next to Unmasked Peacemaker, they both got unmasked variants. One was a Walmart exclusive, and one was a Target exclusive. And here are all of the Suicide Squad figures from McFarlane. We've got a total of 8 figures if you count all the variants. Here he is, next to the entire Zack Snyder's Justice League collection. I am still missing one Batman variant. Zack Snyder's Justice League also exists in the DC Cinematic Universe, so it's possible these characters could potentially interact from the Suicide Squad and Justice League. Then, next to the Wonder Woman 1984 figures, Wonder Woman 1984 also exists in the DC Cinematic Universe. Here's Bloodsport next to Arrow from TV's Arrowverse. Arrow is the only McFarlane DC Multiverse live-action figure that's not from the DC Cinematic Universe. And now, next to Deathstroke. These guys are both assassins, and I always thought their costume had a very similar look to it, both in similar color schemes and armored up. Then, here are all the different McFarlane unmasked figures they've made so far. I could see them doing a ton more. Maybe a Terry McGinnis Batman Beyond unmasked figure, or an unmasked Dark Knight Returns armored Batman figure. The possibilities are endless. I know, a lot of you out there are thinking, why can't they just include the extra head with the figure? Why do they make us double dip? Well, at this price point, I understand they have to reuse some of the figures to coop up some of the costs. I'm very happy with what's going on. If it was a choice between getting just the regular figure and no unmasked figure, or one of each, I'd pick one of each any day of the week. And here they all are, in civilian form. And here he is, with some other recently released McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here's Bloodsport next to a Mafex Deadshot figure. Deadshot and Bloodsport have a lot of similarities, especially in the cinematic universe. Really hope we get to see them together in a third film, although that seems pretty unlikely at this point. The Mafex Deadshot is the largest, tallest Deadshot from Suicide Squad any company has made. Not quite 7-inch scale, but definitely a lot closer than the figure arts or Mattel versions. We've got both the unmasked version of Bloodsport and Deadshot, as well as the masked versions of Bloodsport and Deadshot. Here's Bloodsport next to Bloodshot. Bloodshot's also a cinematic figure, also from McFarlane Toys. Now let's check him out next to a couple of other Idris Elba figures. Here he is next to a Diamond Select Toys Roland from Dark Tower. Then next to a custom Neca Captain Janik from Prometheus that I made. Now let's check him out next to some action figures from different various companies to see how he fits in both scale and style wise, in case you will know which lines you can mix him with. Since he's a McFarlane toy, they're typically the 7-inch scale. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the larger action figure lines I collect and work my way smaller. Here he is with some of his McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines, all from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch scale. Then, next is more McFarlane Toys. These ones are from different various video game properties. And now, next to some Jack specific wrestling figures. And here he is, next to some DST or Diamond Select Toys. Then, next to some DC Direct and DC Collectibles figures. And here, next to some NECA figures. Then, next to some Mattel wrestling figures. And now, next to some Jazzwares AEW wrestling figures. And here he is, next to some Mezco 112 cloth soft goods action figures. Then, next to some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse figures. And here, with some Maplex figures. Then, with some Hasbro Marvel Legends. And here he is, next to some SH Figure Arts action figures. And finally, next to some Jazzwares Fortnite figures. So overall, it's a pretty cool figure, but the likeness is soft as hell. It's definitely inferior to the helmeted Bloodsport, and I really like that figure. This one here just doesn't quite do enough for me. Yes, he's unmasked in the film quite a bit, but I much prefer my action figure villains in particular to be in full costume and getup. This guy's sculpt and paint job are pretty good. The head just falls short, but the rest of the outfit and the body look fantastic. His accessories are pretty good, the swords, but he damn sure needs some guns. I know it's not McFarlane's fault, but I really hope Warner Brothers lets up with that soon. His articulation is everything you'd expect from a McFarlane DC Multiverse figure. If I were to rate this guy, I'm probably going to give him a 6 out of 10. He just could be a little better. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will talk to you guys real soon.